Go!
Hello everyone, my name is MJ238 and this is my new personal best for New Super Luigi U on the Nintendo Wii U. This is, of course, as you may have known, it is the DLC for New Super Mario Bros. U, where everything in the game is exactly the same except for the levels. The levels are similarly themed, and the gimmick of the game is to beat every level in 100 seconds. Sounds simple enough, because the levels are cut in half, but the challenge is that a lot of the level designs have, a lot of the levels have either a lot of enemies or just really atrocious level design, where everything is really hard for you to go through, at least in a casual standpoint. But in a speedrun, it's not that. In a speedrun, when you know the levels, it's actually a really fun speed game. So this is, of course, fast-paced. The controls are a lot different than than what you're used to in the New Super Mario Bros. Series, where Luigi slips more and he jumps higher. So he's really hard. So the hardest part of getting used, the hardest part of playing this game is getting used to the controls. But once you're able to get used to controls, the game is actually really fun. Or at least going through a lot of the levels is really fun. So of course, every run of New Super Luigi U starts with a 1 minute and 47 second cutscene. So that was just enough for me to talk about the game. And now we're doing 1-1. So 1-1, you want to get the game's signature power-up, which is the Super Acorn. It allows you to turn into a squirrel, so you can fly through the levels. And you want to keep it throughout the whole run, because that's where you're going to save most of the time, at least with Luigi. So that was a decent first level. That is the fastest you're going to beat the level. You cannot get anywhere slower than 21 seconds. It's nice that the game's in-game time is actually a real second, so doing IL runs of the game is actually accurate enough to real time, except for pipe transitions like that. So that strat that I just did there is actually not as easy as it looks. I just got a 99 pipe entrance, which is actually really precise to do. I just got really lucky. 1-2 is a hard level to do fast right off the bat, especially for the second level. Some early resets are usually happen here. I get the secret exit here in this level. You just ground pound those blocks, which is kind of hard to know in a casual playthrough, because there's nowhere in the game that really tells you that there's that you can ground pound those blocks. So you just have to I guess if you're really bored and just want to ground pound everything, and then I guess that's how you would find that. Or even look up a manual or something. And we have the cutscenes here. There are 3 of these cutscenes where the castle turns evil looking. So that's the first part. Castle will turn, well, the flags all turn to Bowser flags. And since this is a normal any percent run, we are going to be using Nabbit for the run. On some levels, we usually use Nabbit. You usually want to use Nabbit on levels where there are a lot of enemies, or if the end of the level, well, the fastest level time is a 77, or not a 77, but like a double-digit number. So for example, 77 or whatever. Because normally when you end a level with a double-digit number at the end, with your clock being a double-digit number, you get fireworks, which loses 15 seconds. So this is a speedrun, so we want to go fast and try to avoid that. So that was a decent World 1 split. Most of my splits are usually, well, all my splits are actually where the save points are. So that was my first split right there. My whole World 1 segment. It wasn't that bad. Well, everything was good except for the water level. I did mess up a little bit on the water level, so I ended up with a 72 instead of a 73. And of course, right here we have 3 text boxes, and then it's gonna ask you if you want to post anything in the Miiverse. Say no, and then another text box, and then the save option. That's where the gamepad saves time. That's where the gamepad saves time over the Pro Controller or the Wii Remote in the game. The Pro Controller, well, with the gamepad, it saves time through text boxes and save menus, because you can just tap on the options instead of manually clicking on the options. So it's a very minor time save, but it definitely adds up over the course of the run. So we do 5-1 here as Nabbit, only for one reason. Otherwise, this level would be. Otherwise, you could use Luigi. That's the only reason right there. Those 3 piranha plants. You'd have to wait just a little bit if you're with Luigi. The fastest level time you get here is 78. You can get a 78 with Luigi, but it's a lot more precise, of course. It's like what makes it hard is that you don't want to wait too long with the piranha plants. The hardest thing to realize is that the giant enemies actually have really strange hitboxes. They appear, some big enemies appear like bigger than you think they are, and then some appear smaller than they think you are, and so the piranha plant's teeth are just a little bit smaller than you think. So if you time it just right, then you can get a fast 78 with Luigi, but that's pretty hard. So sometimes if you don't think that you played 5-1 well enough with Luigi, then you might as well just take it safe and just sacrifice 2 in-game seconds. So Toad asks you to catch Nabbit so you can get some PA acorns, but they're way too out of the way to get in the run, so I don't usually pick them up. So you can do either 5-3 or 5-2. Doesn't make too much of a difference. It's only a few frames of differences. If you're doing Luigi only, you would do 5-2 because this level's really hard with Luigi. But since I'm allowed to use Nabbit, I do 5-3. I do this level as 5-3. It's a harder level even to optimize, even with Nabbit. So 5-2 as Luigi is usually more consistent and much easier. But you know, those few frames could definitely make a difference. OP. So now we're in the tower, and the tower features our first major skip, which is the tower skip, where you're normally supposed to ride on this green block snake, but with precise flying that I just did there, you can skip right in that whole block snake, and it's really precise because you have to time your spins right. If you mistime any of your spins, then you probably won't be able to get the skip. It's easier if you actually delay some of those wall jumps that you might have saw me do in the beginning, so that the ball and chain will be at a different cycle. Well, a cycle where it's actually easier for you to get tower skip. So that would be the more consistent way to get tower skip. And then of course the boss Boom Boom. The only time we fight Boom Boom in the run, he's actually really easy. The jump looks scarier. The first jump on Boom Boom that I did, it looks scary, but it's all you really have to do is just do a high jump, and you'll always hit him. So there's nothing special that I did in the fight at all. and then try to save a few frames by just jumping on him as soon as he gets up. So now we have the ghost house, which is, if you're doing it as Luigi, is actually really hard, because going through these ghosts requires precise movement, but with Nabbit you can just run through all the ghosts. And then of course you have the star here. You don't get the star here as Luigi, because one, it's not worth it, because you would already have the acorn, two, there would be a ghost blocking the star block, so you would get hit and get the star at the same time, which would obviously lose time. Yeah, you wouldn't save time at all. The star only saves 1 second in the ghost house. The jump, and it makes getting the jump to the secret exit easier. It is actually possible to make that jump without an acorn or a star. And that's by doing a really precise jump. Obviously it's 1 second slower than just using the star. I don't do that. And then now we have the Parabeetle level, and the Parabeetle level. Somebody just texted me. The Parabeetle level. I use Nabbit in the Parabeetle level, not because like it's easy. It's easier so that you don't die from the piranha plants and bonsai bills that you see here. But it's because anytime you play as a level, anytime you do a level with Nabbit, you actually save 2 frames, because Nabbit's flagpole animation is faster than Luigi's animation for whatever reason. It's 2 frames faster. I don't know why it works like that, but we try to. But those 2 frames could add up over the course of the run, especially in longer categories. I guess it's not that big of a deal in short categories like this, but I don't know. I just like saving time, so I go for whatever saves time. So that was the Parabeetle level. I got a 36 there, which you'd have to time your flagpole grab really well in order to get a 36. Otherwise, 35 is pretty common to get. So yeah, Luigi or Nabbit doesn't really, in terms of time, makes no difference. Well, in terms of in-game level time, doesn't make a difference. But those 2 frames. But you want to save. But if you want to save 2 frames, then use Nabbit. So now we're in World 7, which is the hardest world in the speedrun. There's a lot of hard levels, and it's RNG. So first we have 7-1, which is in my opinion the hardest level, my hardest level of any category. There's a lot of precise movement. Yeah, there's a lot of precise movement. You have to play the level really well in order to make the fuzzy cycles. In order to make the fuzzy cycles work in your favor. And then the very last jump is a 2-frame jump over the fuzzies, otherwise you die. And it's not fun. Now we have 7-2, which is a hard level, I will have to say. It's hard with both Nabbit and Luigi. It takes a lot of practice. I definitely make sure I practice this level the most out of all the levels that you do in the run before I go for PB attempts. So that was it. That's the level right there. And now we have the Fortress, which is a run killer for a lot of PB attempts of pretty much any category. It's not so much of a big deal in 100%. I think 100% is the only exception to this level being a run killer, because 100% there can be your run can die pretty much anywhere, and it's not really as common to lose a run on Kamek, because there's strats in 100% that mitigate the amount of RNG this level offers. So yeah, it's hard and it's RNG. The Fire Bros in this room have pretty random patterns. Their patterns can be unpredictable sometimes. So it's usually better to kill both of them. But I chose to leave one of them alive for some reason, but I guess I'm a trooper. Or a rebel. I don't know, a pacifist, I guess. But I killed an enemy, so I guess it's not really a pacifist. Alright, now we have to fight itself, Kamek. And Kamek, where Kamek spawns is random. So that was not a good spawn. Okay, so that right there, so that fly right there was unintentional. So that made me really nervous because I thought I was gonna miss my opportunity for the third hit. But I got really lucky, I guess. So overall, I had a pretty good fight. With the first spawn not being so great, but you know, you can't always have good RNG in your run. But if you're going for a really good time in this game, then that's what you're really hoping for. Otherwise, then you lose your run. Otherwise, you lose your run to that. Well, you lose a PB pace run to that for the most part, because that fight can go really poorly. Kamek always spawns in the middle of the room on the third hit. So that's definitely not random. So that is a YOLO jump that I did right there. It's the only reason why Navid saves time, because the fastest time you get here is an 88. And you saw me enter the door from the left side. My heart rate was going up after I got really good RNG, or after I got lucky during the Kamek fight. It was slowly going up because I did realize like the pace that I was on during this run, and so I was really afraid that I might die to YOLO jump, because I did have to reset from YOLO jump when I was attempting this PB attempt. So I was afraid that it might have happened again, but thankfully it didn't. Anyway, so about the door on the left side, about me entering the door from the left side of it, it's faster to enter doors from in the middle. It's faster to enter the middle doors, so you can cut the door animation shorter. Because if you enter any door from the side of them, then you'll notice that it takes time for your character. Yeah, see just a little bit there. You might have caught it there. It takes just a little bit of time for your character to enter the middle of the door and then go inside, which takes time. So you definitely don't want that. You want to make sure you enter your door entrances as well. The trick that I did at the end of the level was a trick that I learned a few months ago. It's actually a lot harder than it looks, but it does save 2 seconds over the more consistent strat of the castle. And I didn't do it on my previous PB, so by default here I'm saving just about 2 seconds now. Also, it may look like I'm starting my timer early and splitting early, but that's because with my capture card it has a half a second delay over where my game feed actually is. So I'm not really cheating. So don't worry about that. That's just how my capture card works, and there's nothing I can do to fix it. And now we have the airship, and usually when I'm on a good run like this, I get pretty nervous about the skip, because I have a reputation of messing the skip up on good runs. But so I usually make sure that I practice the skip before I even go for PB or record attempts. But as you can see, I got the skip no problem. So the exact thing that I do here, that I do there, is ensures that I consistently get that skip. That's usually my setup. There are other ways to go that you can go about with the skip and still get an 88 pipe entrance. But that's my setup right there. It's a setup that works good for me. And then now we have the fight itself. And Bowser Jr. sucks. He's not really random, but he feels random sometimes because he has a really poor hitbox. And of course, with the acorn, I'm kind of making this fight look pretty easy. And that fight's not as easy. This is not that easy. When I made it look easy, but it's not that easy because, like I said, the fight's. Like I said, Bowser Jr. has a really bad hitbox. So sometimes you can land on him and nothing will happen. Because this game sucks. And so now we have to watch this 1-minute cutscene. A lot of people, when they compare my splits, a lot of people when they run against my splits, they usually tell me that they save like 40 seconds over my split time on this, and that's because most people split after that cutscene, while I split when I enter World 8. It's so that I don't. It's just to ensure that the next split that I have is not a 1 minute. It's not 1 minute of doing nothing. I don't know. It just makes more sense to me. Probably it doesn't really make a lot of sense to other people. So I did forget the split here, but let me tell you now. I was actually 0.02 seconds off of my gold split, so you might have saw that my gold split was probably a 3:12:30.31, something like that, but my segment time right there was actually a 3:12.33. So yeah, that's what I got when I retimed it. Yeah, good game, I guess. So now we're in World 8, where they save some of the best levels for last. This level, if you're doing it as Luigi, is the hardest level in Luigi, because 8-1 is RNG. It's not as the RNG isn't so bad for Nabbit. I did not get good RNG there, so I did lose a second in this level for on something that wasn't really in my control. But it does happen. It's not as bad as Kamek RNG, so it doesn't make too much of a difference. Well, it doesn't make too much of a difference where your run's gonna die. It's especially bad. It's really bad for Luigi because a fireball. Because when you get to the secret exit, a fireball. You're so close to the top of the screen that a fireball can actually fall on you, and you can't do anything about it. You won't be able to react very easily when the fireballs are on the top of the screen with you. So that was 8-4, which is a route difference between this game and Mario Bros. U's route for World 8. The reason you don't do 8-4 in Mario Bros. U is because 8-4 is a really long auto-scroller, and there's a skip in Mario Bros. U in 8-2 that actually saves time over doing 8-4 for that game. While for this game, 8-4 is a short level, so we do it. And then now we have elevator skip here, and if you didn't like elevator skip in Mario Bros. U, then you probably like it in this game, because look how easy that is. We're already at the end of the level. Now we come to the last level. And the very last level is... well, the level itself is easy as long as you have an acorn. But you can easily... but it's very easy to choke PB pace runs on this level. Specifically on the final fight. So this exact movement right here is consistent because Bowser Jr. falls down, will drill down on you. Well, when he does it is based on your movement. But if you do this exact movement, then it ensures that you always get the same results from Bowser Jr. There is a harder strat in this level, that actually saves 1 second. You have to, and that's like if you time it well, then Bowser Jr. can actually push you while you're flying. Well, he can push you forward while you're flying, giving you a lot of speed. But that is really risky, and it is not worth doing on a good run. So I usually only do it when I'm on a bad run. Because it's not worth losing a run over it. So that was the Bowser fight. It was pretty difficult, I will have to say. So yeah, Luigi jumps so high that you really don't need to fly over him. You can actually just he jumps so high that all you do is just jump over him. I guess that's an overlook for a lot of casual players. But yeah, Luigi is kind of overpowered in this game. In terms of boss fights, I think I have to say the boss fights are really easy with Luigi compared to Mario's boss fights, even though they're exactly the same. But you have different gameplay physics that change them a little bit. Alright, so now we have the final fight here. This is where my heart rate was going up really high. So, right here in the beginning, I am attempting Fireball Skip, where you fly in front of his face, and then it skips him shooting a second Fireball, which saves 2 seconds. So I got it. I got really scared there because I did fly a little bit too close. You can get Fireball Skip and get hit by him. Which wouldn't be much of a big deal because you really don't need to fly in this level at all. It was kind of, I was pretty scared. Alright, so I got the second hit there. So I'm doing the 1 cycle Conquer skip here. Got it both times now. And it saves a lot of time over doing the entire fight. And then over here. Bam. That's the final hit. So it says on the splits there on the side 28-19, but I did actually split late. So the final time is actually a 28-18.34. So yeah, that's my new PB. I was really happy with how the run went. There are a few seconds of time saves in this run, but I don't think I'll be focusing on that. I've never been fully focused on grinding out any % times in this game at all. Because there's already enough competition for any % that I don't really need to help out with pushing it further. I'm just not interested in the competition in any %. Well, so that's just my choice right there. But this time actually does bring me up to top 4 on the any % leaderboard. And interesting enough, when I first got my when I got my very first world record on all castles, I pretty much set up a goal of myself to well, my next goal for after getting the all castles world record, well, the first one that I got, my goal was to be top 4 on every single category of the game, and I did achieve that for everything except for any percent, 100%. I did achieve it 100% when I came back into it a few months ago, and then here I am now. I am now on the 4th rank on the leaderboard with this time. It's just amazing how far I've came in this game. Like, when I first started learning this game back in 2016, I never really saw myself becoming a top player. Like, I just wanted to play the game. I just wanted to do runs in this game and have fun. So I did like 3 runs of all castles, and I thought that was the best I was gonna do. So I took a long break after that, and then I came back. I believe this summer. I believe the summer of 2016 I came back to the game after maybe not playing for like 5 or 6 months or something like that. And I started learning newer strats in the game, and with newer strats, like, I was slowly improving my time, just kept learning. And then I eventually started finding strats of my own that nobody ever uses. And I saw myself just rapidly improving. I eventually was becoming, like, I went from being a bad player of the game to being a middle class player, I guess you could say, and then up to being a top player with so many strats that I've contributed to this game, and anything else that the community has contributed to as well. We do have a small community of New Super Luigi U, but it is better than having no community. Like, back then, when this game first came out, the speedrun of this game was very competitive, and then now, like, all the top runners who were really good back then don't really run this game as much anymore. Either they don't run this game as much anymore, or they just don't run it at all. And so myself, Supernova, and Stash Mallow, all 3 of us came into the spotlight and started working on the game, and we continued wherever E. Waller or Hard Pelican or maybe even Asterp or even Wexcelsior. We continued to where all those runners left off in terms of the progression of this game. Eventually, Supernova and Stash both stopped running this game, and it was just only me pushing this game down to its limits. Personally, I just wanted to see how far I can go in this game. It's kind of the same mindset as, like, let's say Zos for Super Metroid, or maybe even Cheese05 for Super Mario 64. Like, those guys wanted to see how far they can push their games down, and that was my mindset with this game. I wanted to see how far I can go in pretty much all the categories for the most part. And so that's the credits now. So that's my PB of New Super Luigi U. Will I ever improve it? Yes, but I'm probably not interested in improving it right away. That's my next focus in terms of this game. I was currently working on going for the world record for 100% and the any percent Luigi only. both those categories can easily be beaten. But I'm taking a break for now. And when I come back to this game, I will work on both those categories.
Wow.
And usually at the end of the run, I usually like to take a look at the stats here. So, yeah, that's my PB. So I guess I'll let you guys look at my stats here. 431 coins, no Goomba Stomp, and 7-star coins. And 4 items. And then 18 levels and fireworks. Or no, not fireworks, well, I guess audiences. Cool.